Hi there. We're Moderately Sane. I'm Craig Prower. This is my lovely co-host, Hillary Schwartz.
Hello.
And we're here to discuss some current issues, primarily Graham Platner from Maine, who just won the nomination for the Senate last evening.
Yes, this is basically breaking. We got to
We got breaking.
We got to break in emergency podcast for this. I mean,
yes.
Everything stopped.
Red alert. I have a red alert on that. And I'll carry that discussion into sort of redefinition of some basic words, Nazi being one. Let's start off though with Graham Platner, who's very meaty.
Right. And maybe I do want to say where I'm coming from
It's
and
important.
why I know anybody who may listen or watch this is like, you're hypercritical of the left. Now, yes, and the reason I am is because for most of my life, I felt like I was of the left. At certain points, I was less partisan than others, but for many years, I was a very partisan Democrat. So the anger I feel is primarily directed to the left because I feel such a sense of betrayal and such a sense of like not belonging and where to go. And being a kind of moderate person, I'm sure I have things that overlap with the right on some issues, especially now because everything always shifts around. But I never expected anything for Republicans. So if you're like, oh, you're always on the left, that's the big reason. And the freaking moral superiority of the left with the hypocrisy that's so obvious, it's really enough. I almost need to start banging and breaking things. It makes me so pissed off. But so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
And here is, I am almost enjoying the plot. I mean, this whole thing is sick, but I must admit, I'm sort of finding the Platner story delicious. If I can use a word, delicious.
It's delicious, like the oysters that he farms.
Because it is such an unmasking of the hypocrisy that has pushed me away from the left for a while now, and it's incredible, undeniable unmasking.
In Platner, we have this candidate who was not a foregone conclusion by any means. We had perfectly respectable candidates like, Mills from Maine, who was, is governor, and could have won, who, as far as I know, doesn't have any Nazi tattoos, hasn't twisted the arms or beaten any women that at least there's no public record of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, also, Platner is running against perhaps the most moderate Republican that there is, and maybe one of the most moderate members of the Senate in Susan Collins.
Yeah, this is what's so shocking. First of all, we've gotten to the scandals regarding women and his being on that kick site, which is even targeted to teenagers, and the abuse to women.
Well, he has his naked dad bod on or semi-naked dad bod on a site that's really for teenagers.
Right. And I must say, as everyone is talking and somewhat getting, this is causing some reaction regarding the treatment of women and how many, and it's more is going to drop, basically.
Much more.
However, it should never have gotten past not just Nazi tattoo, but SS.
The guards in Sobibor. That was the Totenkopf. It was the specific tattoo worn by Death Camp SS. That's what he had.
That was specifically SS Death Camp tattoo.
And he's lied about it consistently.
I know. And if you think he was a drunk night and then he just had it on for decades and decades, come on.
Right.
Come the freak on. And the simple test, what if it was a Republican? We all know the answer.
Well, James Carville.
They would pretend to be upset about it.
Well, yes, I think it might be pretend. And by the way, there are there's verifiable evidence that he's lying, and not just hearsay, but his own 2019 Reddit post where he specifically addresses his Totenkopf. So he simply, not only did he have the Nazi tattoo, which again is enough, but he also is lying currently about his Nazi tattoo.
Right, that he just had
no idea.
And not only that's not believable on the surface, on the face of it, there's evidence, written evidence from him. He knew exactly what it was. It should have begun and ended with that. And the fact that it didn't and barely caused a ripple
should shame
and
everybody.
Excuse making should be a shame and a stain on anyone defending him, anyone excusing him, and should be a stain on that party, especially because, as we know and have lived with, especially those of us in the bluest areas, these are the same people defending his SS guard tattoo who have called people Nazis for a decade now.
Everybody who disagrees with him is a Nazi, except for the person with the Nazi tattoo. The only way he would have been in trouble is if he had a Star of David.
Right, I think that if he had a Star, yes, that actually would have been more problematic in today's day.
What about the fact that he's a working class person who's just telling the truth? And look, working class men are, white men are very imperfect beings, so we should take that into account because he's working class.
Well, that's a whole other thing. Right before that, I just wanted to say, I think a big part of our frustration is that
it's slandering working class men.
Right. Well, there's a
among
lot
other
to say
things,
that.
lying.
We paid a lot of attention to the basically anti-Israel protests against the war.
Often described in most of the news media as protests against the treatment of Gazans by the Israelis.
Right. And that, I understand people don't want suffering, but we did, because we paid so much attention and because we take in other news sources, we know that on Columbia campus, verified from custodial workers that not just Zionists are not allowed here, but things like Jew lover were being screamed out on that campus. When one of those custodial workers was trapped in a building, which they took over, he was told, "You work for the Jews." We knew this was happening while everyone around me was calling everyone else Nazis, yet supporting this.
Well, some of this was not even really, it was hiding in plain sight in the most despicable way, because you would hear, river to the sea, but never really the explanation. In fact, almost never the explanation. And there were tens of thousands of demonstrations at various universities protesting. Again, I'm not going to use a leading description, although I'm very inclined to say what they really were, which are anti-Israel protests.
Yeah.
But the way that they were described was that these were anti-war protests, or peace protests, or ceasefire protests. Except, one of the things you never saw in all the hundreds of thousands of hours of coverage, and there was that much, you didn't see one major group at all, not one big banner. Let's live in peace side by side. Let's have a two-state solution. Let's live in peace with our Jewish brothers. Not once. Not one. That isn't which really means that isn't what they were. In fact, many of them were saying things like, and again, these are also very public, very available. Houthis, make us proud, turn another ship around.
Right.
These were not people that didn't want war. These are people that didn't want to lose. They wanted Israel to lose the war.
Right.
They were very happy with violent action. They were very happy when Israel got bombed by Iran, when they got bombed by Hezbollah, when they were getting bombed by Hamas. They were very happy.
Right.
They weren't against war, and they didn't want a ceasefire.
Right.
They wanted Israel to be destroyed.
And probably a lot of people got sucked into it who just didn't want the suffering, which I understand. But if you were there and didn't pick up on those other messages,
well, those were the things they were uttering. What was in their head? Again, I mean, early on there was a interesting study at Berkeley, and this was in the first 2 weeks of the first 2 weeks after 10/7, and it was people heard. They tested this. There was a political test, and it was basically, what does it mean to say river to the sea? 66% of people didn't have a frigging clue. Okay? And once it was explained to them that it basically meant wiping out all of Israel, initially they didn't agree. But again, when you're repeating those slogans, that's what the slogans are saying. River to the sea. It's not the Mississippi River to the, to the sea of, to the Red Sea. It was specifically from the Mediterranean to Jordan, which is Israel.
Right. And so these people, maybe even unknowingly, who didn't have this explained to them. Although when you're sitting there at a protest and someone is having a Hamas bandana, I think maybe I would actually leave. Just like if I thought I was somewhere like I don't want people suffering, and I saw a white hood, I would actually leave.
Or a burning cross.
So I don't know how much excuse I can make, but we know. I have seen the left not just supporting the end of the war, but supporting groups who all out call for the death of Jews.
Let's get back to Platner,
and support that. Right. And that's okay.
And then we're going to come back to this.
Yes. So that's okay. That's enough. That's all I wanted to say, because I have been that has just been simmering inside of me, anger of this.
Yeah.
Now having Platner as the SS tattoo and that being explained away, it is much more obvious.
Sure.
And much bigger unmasking, which I'm and sometimes I would love some people I know who are well, I just would what? Oh yes, please explain to me that SS tattoo. Please, I would just want it as a show. I would get a pillow. I just asked the question, what do you think about the SS tattoo?
And the fact he lied about it, and that's verifiable. So he had the tattoo. It wasn't a mistake. He knew what it was. It was a death camp tattoo. And, when it became controversial, lie about it.
Lie about it. And you hear regular Democrats completely making it doing Cirque du Soleil, twisting.
What Democrats? What Democrats?
Almost most.
Including the most powerful Jewish politician in America, Chuck Schumer.
Well, or we're still endorsing him.
We're doubling down as endorsing.
Yes.
And Bernie Sanders. I mean, we're talking about major figures in the Democratic Party. Elizabeth Warren. We're not talking about backbenchers. This has been full-throated. And again, he was running against Mills, a very credible, candidate, and they could have said, look, let's support the Democratic candidate that doesn't have Nazi tattoos.
Well, I think actually a lot of the more mainstream Democrats like Chuck Schumer were pushing her originally. They tried to. But once it became evident,
I'm not even. It could have been a continual thing because there's been a drumbeat as we're going to discuss. It's not just one issue with this guy, but although we do think it should have been the issue, it should have been much more full-throated. This guy,
should have begun. This was not. And it should have stopped.
It should have been the kibosh.
It should have been kibosh with this guy. Not that the other things are absolutely horrible, but it shouldn't have even gotten.
And that should have been. And it certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't Warren. It certainly wasn't Sanders. And even Schumer wasn't saying that he's disqualified. How dare he? He wasn't standing in the way like Schumer. He said, I'm going to be like the strong defender of the Jewish people. My goodness. I mean, with that kind of defense, we're in trouble. It's like, never again will be tomorrow with this motherfucker.
And then there just things we're hearing, like we were sitting next to a couple last night.
Yes, we were.
And yes, and You know how sometimes people look a certain way and you know everything they're going to think
Birkenstocks.
before they open, even though I'm wearing Birkenstocks too, so maybe I sometimes don't.
Well, you're a woman. I mean, this is a dude with, looked like he was from just a little commune in Vermont.
Yes. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to know everything he's going to say. And we knew he was talking about Platner, and it was like, well, Mills, everyone's sick of the old people, and she wasn't inspiring.
Right.
Like, think of those two things. Like, those two things are inexcusable.
Right.
Uninspiring. And old. I mean, she's 78 if she's still functional. And that's actually, you can be a senator at 78. Sometimes, like, we've seen people who are too old, and president is even a different story.
Sure.
And so what they're doing, and you have to, like, love that also, because not only are they throwing away their stand against any anti-Semitism stance, any support women stance, but now let's throw in a dose of ageism.
Right.
And these are the morally superior people.
It's also a recognition that you're comparing something. I mean, again, you're comparing what are the, plus sides of Platner. I mean, I don't think anyone knows his policies. I think all he says are things like, I don't know, tax the rich, APAC. That's pretty much.
It's like, well, we need to because of his policies. It's like, what are his policies?
What are his brilliant policies that are so necessary?
Oligarchy. I mean, I don't hate oligarchy. I mean, I
no kings.
I can even understand a lot of that sentiment. That's actually not a policy.
Yeah.
That's not that is yes.
Yeah, kind of or Platner.
It's a platitude.
No.
It's a platitude.
Platnertude.
It's a platnertude. It's not a
policy.
And yes, and so and just the fact, like, listen, we know this man is flawed. He's had a difficult periods, which are continuing.
We call it the present.
He's had dark periods, but we need to accept all this because of the evil. And these are two words that personify evil.
I think
we reference
I'm afraid to say the name. It's like saying, Voldemort. I don't know if I can say this name, but I might have to. I will for the purpose.
It's hard. It's like, okay. Right. You don't even want to say it out loud, like saying the devil's name.
Susan Collins.
Of all people.
Yeah.
I mean, you can maybe not I'm against the Republicans. Maybe you want them not a Democratic majority, but all this for like a pretty, very reasonable person.
Well, you could also say,
are you kidding me?
Well, this is literally, it's, and we're going to get into the Nazi stuff, but, I mean, in terms of like, how words get redefined and makes us all stupid. But Raging Cajun Jim Carville was being interviewed. He said, well, yeah, he's flawed, but it's sort of like Stalin. You had to side up with him, even though he had all kinds of problems, because we were fighting Hitler, the Nazis. So we're going to go with the Nazi guy to fight Hitler, who is Susan Collins. This makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, but she's a little old.
Well,
which is now the biggest crime in the world.
That's
like,
worse
I
than
know,
anything.
like, okay, we have too many, people that stay around too long, but like, no. Now I'm like, at this point, give me the oldies. Jesus Christ, like, please, throw out a 97-year-old. Dear God.
But we have to, but no, this is actually the most recent line of defense, and it's not, if it's a line of defense at all, is, I'll get back to it, is that he's a working class guy. And,
right.
And if he's a working class white guy, then what do you expect? And again, that's,
Oh, yeah, we were hearing, like, people in Maine, in Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
Portland, a young guy who, who looked also how you would expect a Platner voter.
Yeah.
This really young guy. And he said, well, listen, when you want to get working class candidates, this is what you're going to get. Well, whoa, how much to unpack right there?
This just shows that they really think about the working class, that they're a bunch of racist thugs there's some, basically, Platner is cosplaying some version of Stanley Kowalski meets Heinrich Himmler.
Right. The working class.
The working class.
How the working class is.
The Nazi tattoos,
They should go up there with the wife beater
and actually beat your wife.
SS, and it's like, he's from the working class.
He's a working class.
Which is really horrifying.
Well, let me explain to you as a MAINE, as a working class person, that, we get licked up and, we might twist a woman's arm. That just happens. And, you might think you're better than us, but this is just who we are as working class MAINEs.
Right. And as, Democrats.
But he's also a complete phony.
Right. As Democrats have had problems with, maybe the working class and men. Yeah. And maybe this is just exposing, first of all, they can't get it right. They go to, some really has negative testosterone, and then they get to an SS white woman beater. They just can't understand
normal men,
and they think this is normal. And the fact that really exposes what your attitude regarding working class people, and maybe that's the reason that you're having such trouble with them.
Right? You think that working class men are anti-Semitic, woman beating, racist. And you wonder why working class white men don't like voting for you.
Oh, okay. And what was also so sad, just that clip of that guy saying this probably educated guy did not know this, but is Graham Platner from the working class?
Well, his dad is a wealthy lawyer. His mom is a very wealthy restaurateur. He went to Hotchkiss, and no, in short, he is not a working class man. His oyster farm is a complete cover story. His oyster farm is a basic hobby. He doesn't make any money from it, and his only customer is his mother, the rich woman who owns a restaurant. Hotchkiss, $75,000 a year.
This is what we need to get working class people.
Yeah.
This working class Stanley Kowalski meets
Heinrich
Himmler, who went to Hotchkiss, one of the most elite boarding schools located in Connecticut.
Yes.
And it's absolutely, it just gets better and better. Right. How can I not love this story?
It's cosplay. Basically it's this devious. I'm going to cosplay as a working class person. How am I going to do that? I'll just be the most disgusting, racist, anti-Semite, the working class. You can relate to me.
Yeah, well, he had a beard and he actually kind of looks masculine, and that was enough.
Well,
let's not look anywhere. Maybe.
I think there was a point made, I heard, that it's okay to have a dad bod, but you got to be a dad. He does have a dad bod.
This is he's manly. There's something to do with he gets oysters, and everyone's like, this is it.
This is our guy.
Great. And then look at anything else.
And by the way, we're not even going to get into some of the deeper allegations because they haven't been fully vetted yet, but it is verified that there are at least 2 rape accusers that were initially meant to be part of the New York Times article. And again, when that gets dropped, then what? Then right. what levels are we or they going to sink to still say this is an okay guy who's better than Collins and we should stand? He's our kind of guy, as Warren said. Our kind of guy, as Elizabeth Warren said. What point is he not your kind of guy?
I know, and sickly, and it says a lot about where I am emotionally because I am so infuriated. And I think what I just listed off, I would hope you would sort of understand where we're coming from emotionally. But he got 70% in
that was
Democrat. So he's probably at a threshold. I don't think he's going to drop out. They're so all in with him. I don't think he can.
But his polls are dropping, thank God.
I know. So do you think he's going to drop out?
I don't think he's going to drop out.
I think they can't. I think they're too deep. I think the party's too deep in.
I think it's also him. I think that, apparently, again, he's not a real oyster farmer. There's a lot of money in this for him. Win, lose, or draw. He's probably going to make a name for himself. among a certain group of people that will be lucrative. So yeah, there's no incentive for him to drop out at all.
Right. And this may not say great things about me because it's like, this person with this kind of disgustingness and baggage should drop out. But I don't want him to.
No, I don't think that says anything.
I am enjoying this. And this is my favorite story. I want to enjoy this and have more and more for months. And I want to see the morally superior progressives,
the
smug progressives,
just
like that I used to kind of vote with, and still would vote with. I mean, if they're normal people, they're normal,
when they're behaving normally.
Normal, practical Democrats is who I really like.
Yeah.
I want to see the twisting and the excuse making and the entire. It's like a show for me. I'm like, it's just a nonstop show. Is there intermission? I want to grab like goobers and whoppers. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm just going to sit back, get me a pillow, and let me enjoy this show that shows in all laid out, full relief, the hypocrisy that I have been seeing, that I've been screaming about inside, that no one will listen to me about.
It really is. It's sort
no one will listen to me.
It's everything. It's kind of the everything. It's like, if sort of what we began talking about, it's basically just the Senate. It's basically everything hypocritical about whatever's now possessed the body of the Democratic Party. This is the demon incarnate, and his name is Grant Platner.
Yeah,
Grant Platner, right. and not only is his name Grant Platner, but all the fucking people that are supporting him, because they're the ones that are really to blame.
They're the ones to blame, and you have no moral.
No moral authority, no moral leg to stand on. And basically, enough of this frigging believe all woman, enough of this, oh my God, Me Too, enough of this, oh, you're all Nazis. Y'all are the ones supporting a Nazi who's Me Tooing to the fucking nth degree.
Right.
So shut the hell up.
It's over. It's the ruse.
And again, if you want us to talk more about Republicans, fine. Take care of this shit. Police it.
Right.
And I don't want to have a Democratic Party like this. I want to have a party that's not anti-Semitic.
We want to have a normal party.
A normal party.
We want to have a normal thing. And we don't have a normal thing.
Can we not have normal stuff?
We don't have it.
We would like it.
I feel, because, listen, he really could win. And
I don't think he will, by the way.
Right.
I really don't think he's going to.
I kind of really, I can't even, I don't get that upset about Susan Collins to be like, let's compare. And I just have this thing emotionally. I have been seeing this moral superiority, the calling everyone Nazis, the prejudice that they have, the lack of principles of the left that I had felt that I was a part of, being utterly appalled, feeling like I'm screaming into a black hole, and this just being all laid out. I want them to be punished. It may not happen, but they deserve to be punished. And they still may not get the lesson. They'll still be like, I'm not a far left person, so I have not gone with that. They'll get the lesson of like, we got to go more left.
Well, who knows
as long as he needs to say oligarchy more, we don't care if how many assets statues he has.
Yeah, you will just try to have a person that says oligarchy and maybe only has, maybe covered up his Nazi tattoo after a year instead of 20 years.
APAC, as if APAC spends like freaking Qatar does.
Right, of course.
Into this country. If you want to, if you're concerned about influence, but you're not.
Well,
you're selective.
Right. I think APAC spends less than like the dental lobby. But.
Right. They're spending more now. But they controlled America because of the backlash against, the support for Israel. They started to spend more when everyone was supporting Israel, they controlled America by a very small amount.
It was like $2.5 million, and it's gone up. But even in the inflated, even in the figures that it's, since it's gone up, it's still below many of the other major lobbies.
And it is, and it's like a singular concentration, and so
it's also another
combo
fact
of the SS tattoo with
AIPAC.
Screaming AIPAC to get people to ignore the SS tattoo because of the Jewish American supported lobby.
I don't know. It's a very
wonderful soup.
It's a very curious kind of argument that only people who support Israel have a problem with Nazis. Platner, to be fair, he does. I'm going to solve your problems. I can solve your I'm a problem solver. You might even say I have the final solution.
He has like a wonderful slogan right there.
Right there.
And this goes into because of the supporting women and we will protect women party. And I think it's been very revealed that what it really is weaponizing abuse of women against those who you politically don't like, and excusing it for those who you politically want to get political power.
Yeah.
Now, and even Jennifer Woodruff, she was like, well, it's about abortion rights. I'm pro-choice. I do not like the really limited abortion laws that are happening in some states. I really don't like it either.
Sure.
But in that case, okay, you have shown that your priority is abortion rights.
Say it.
That is your priority. And that you will attack people, Brett Kavanaugh, and weaponize it, even with far less evidence, when you want to maintain power on the Supreme Court, and because of your issues, a main one being abortion rights.
Right.
And you will excuse it away when you have somebody who will help secure abortion rights. Okay, fine.
And even Susan Collins, it doesn't truly cover that because, number one, she is pro-choice and has been. And she's voted to confirm most justices, both for Democrats and Republicans. She's not some virago. She's not some right-wing nut who's trying to destroy women's freedoms. Right. But at least what I think Hillary's saying is, can't you just be honest for once and quit lying to us and saying that you care about people who abuse women? Because you don't.
You don't. That's like, okay, you care about abortion. You care about abortion rights. Okay, I understand that.
Period.
Now, drop the whole protect women thing.
You don't mean it.
Over. It's over.
The gig is up.
You're like, well, we didn't say we didn't care. Yeah, you said it. You said it loud and clear.
The message is very clear.
Ruse already.
Right.
It's a joke.
Right. Can we talk a little bit now? Because I think it's probably a good point about a good point to talk about. We're going to get back to this once in a while, but basically how words don't mean anything anymore and how it's making us all stupid. And we can just start with one that's we've been mentioning a lot: Nazi.
Right. It's the redefining, the floating definition of words that have just selective meaning, no meaning, and it's causing us to not be able to communicate with each other or even think. Please, let's start.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
This is very good example.
It's a very telling example. Nazi has actually been redefined pretty clearly to mean anything that we don't like on the right, whatever the right happens to be. And interestingly, there's been a real change that the real Nazis are actually often Jews, and people that seem to actually kind of hate Jews are not Nazis. Even when they have Nazi insignia, they're still not Nazis.
Yes.
So there's been a real, I don't know, switcheroo.
Switcher Jew.
When it comes to
There's
the word.
the switcher Jew phenomenon.
Right.
Because it's like, this is really weird. As far as we know, that like a lot of the left have been knowingly or very much not knowingly or very much knowingly supporting people who are shrieking, including things like acid Jews in rallies.
Mm-hmm.
And then simultaneously calling people Nazis. Now they're supporting a man with an SS tattoo while continuing to call everyone else Nazis. Anyone even slightly maybe to the right on maybe a single issue. So you makes you like, this is interesting because basically Jews have been an extremely big part of what Nazi means. It's been the main. You can't say something is Nazi without it being like victimizing Jews.
Yeah, it would be like the Ku Klux Klan if you just ignored how they really went after African Americans. If you just ignored that and just somehow just defined it in some other way. You know, the real Klans people, they're all black.
Right. And we're going to continue hearing these same people supporting Platner call people Nazis.
They're going to keep on.
So the only conclusion is, okay, there has been a redefining of Nazi. Jews have been taken out of victims of Nazis. That's just been erased. You can not understand. You're like, well, what do they mean? That's the only way to understand what they mean by Nazis.
Yeah.
That does not include Jews as victims. Now, when they include Jews, they are going to, we're more likely to be on the side of Nazis with Israel and the supposed
genocide.
Very redefined word, genocide.
That's the other word. I mean, that's the simultaneous switch of Jew. It's basically, Nazis are not people who have it in for Jews, who are looking to stigmatize Jews, who have theories that Jews have this outsized level of control over our government, even though that is a dominant theme. It's one of Platner's dominant themes. Basically, again, call it AIPAC. But, that's oftentimes called Israel, even though AIPAC is an entirely American, organization that's a pact of Americans. It's not violating the law. Nobody's even claiming that it is. So these are American Jews who support Israel and want a better relationship with Israel. And yet, so what's the problem? The problem is that the idea is that they are controlling the government, that the government is literally being run by the Jews. It's an insane and very Nazi-related trope.
Yeah.
And it's very, very clear, and it's very, very deep now. It's very publicly touted in the Democratic Party. You can take money from just about anybody, including terrorists, including foreign terrorists, and foreign money, and you're okay. Just
organizations that have deep
terrorist ties, Muslim Brotherhood, etc. And yet, Democratic politician after Democratic politician, make it their frigging calling card. I don't take any money from AIPAC.
Right. So they're covering up like, oh yeah, he has a Nazi tattoo, but basically it's like they're covering up, he has a Nazi tattoo, but the Jews.
This
is what we're hearing.
Jews. No, it really is. It really is. It's the worst kind of Jew baiting, and that's exactly what he did when he brought up AIPAC in this regard.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's all AIPAC. They're the only ones that have a problem with Nazi tattoos.
Well, yeah.
AIPAC. Right.
And the Jews who may support, I guess we are the only ones left who have a problem with Nazi tattoos.
I think there are plenty of Mainers who still have a problem with Nazi tattoos.
I hope they do.
But certainly there's nothing wrong, and there's it should be
progressive.
I certainly
morally superior.
I want my Jewish brothers and sisters to hear this and feel with me. If we don't have a problem with this, we should. We really should.
Right.
This is something, whatever your politics, this is something that should unite us. This is not okay. And it's perfectly fine, and we're not being in any way controlling or engaging in some kind of nefarious conspiracy if we don't like dudes that have Nazi tattoos.
Right. And then they just pushing in the APAC button to excuse it. And if you I understand the influence of PACs and not like.
If you're against PACs, I don't have a problem.
Of course, but then don't make it selective. And if you're talking about foreign governments having influence of America, have you ever looked at the list of who is, or how, as far
Donates.
as lobbyists,
foreign
lobbies,
right?
Saudi Arabia.
Let's bring the source up. OpenSecrets.org. It's out there, and Israel is barely hanging on to number 10. We're behind Liberia.
Right. Well, we also get things in return from Israel, which is another thing. But if you have a problem, that's okay. I understand.
Then it should be for all governments. I understand
having a concern with foreign influence. Then don't be selected. Don't be a dupe. Don't be a dupe. Qatar or Qatar. I'll
call them Qatar now.
Qatar. They want to be Qatar. We were trying to help them with Qatar. That sounded a little more elegant. But how many billions?
Well, it depends because it's just a piece in the Free Press.
Yeah.
That actually is calculating the full effect.
That right-wing rag?
That right-wing rag, run by Barry Weiss.
Right, who's pretty centrist, and I'm probably
centrist. Well, yes.
But, okay.
A right-wing married lesbian.
But is there, but true information, documented information, tell us.
Well, estimates over 100 billion to 400 billion in influence, broadly speaking, including the Al Jazeera networks. But just in terms of university donations, more than $6 billion to fund our universities. Now, I'm sure they care a lot about our universities, and that's their motivation. But maybe just a slightly skeptical person might think that they have other ideological agendas.
Oh, no, they've gotten a lot for their investment.
I think
they housed, they gave refuge to Hamas. And if you think, because we send weapons to Israel, how many weapons do we send? To UAE and Saudi Arabia?
Well, I mean, we have a
were part of wars that killed so many more people.
We actually
have
a
problem. Even if you have a problem with Israel and spending,
don't be a dupe. Don't be a dupe.
If you are only beginning and ending there.
If you don't know about Turkey, you're being played.
You are being so played. And you're being played with the oldest trick in the book.
The Jew.
It's fine if you have that problem. I understand having a lot of problems with just foreign influence and PAC money. Then actually have that problem and apply it to everyone who deserves it.
Yeah.
And you don't.
You don't. Almost, and again, if you have a problem with, oh my goodness, we're supporting a genocide, let's say.
Okay, but we got to get back to yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Then, what about these other countries? Well, we don't support them. We support Turkey. They're in NATO for God's sake, and they've been massacring the Kurds for a good 60 years, and they also massacred the Armenians. They've committed genocide after genocide. And they are getting our full military support and backing. So please, for the love of Jesus, do not say that the reason Israel counts is because we support them. We support people that do that do actual genocides, and Israel doesn't. Let's get to genocide.
Right. It actually killed far more people.
You
don't care about, you don't really care about people dying because there are far more people. And included with it, not being attacked, just killing far more people, and we also our money and our ties are all over these places. So actually be consistent. And if you're only focusing on Israel, you are being freaking propagandized and used. You can have that concern. I'm not saying even not to. Everyone, there may be reasons that Israel should be more independent, but
I think they should.
If you're not applying this to others, it is what it is. And you are a dupe. So let's go on. Now we're still with our redefining of words because there's so many words that are just all over the place.
Well, this is closely related. This is also the term genocide, which also had a very specific meaning. It was defined by a Jewish lawyer in Nuremberg to mean specific things. It had specific intent to kill or remove large portions of a population. And again, that had to be the proven motive. It couldn't be just a war, because all wars are, you're trying to accomplish something. This had to be a war where there's no other explanation than you just want to destroy these people and end their existence on the planet. Okay. So that is, and by the way, FYI, this is a news bulletin. The International Court of Justice, which had indicted Israel, and specifically Netanyahu, not proven, but just indicted them for war crimes themselves. The lead prosecutor now has been taken off the case. And countries like Ireland and countries like South Africa were trying to redefine genocide, because you can't prove that Israel committed genocide when they're trying to not kill people, when they're giving warnings, and when you have a population in Gaza that since 1948 has grown from 100,000 to close to 2 million. That isn't a genocide. That isn't what genocide looks like. When you respond to an attack, that isn't what genocide looks like. When Hamas hides behind civilians, they hide behind civilians because they know that will give them either A, protection, or B, the excuse that, Israel's trying to kill civilians. The basic breakdown of the death toll, and it is always tragic, because civilian death is tragic.
Horrible.
And always tragic.
I mean, utterly heartbreaking.
But was this the intention? Was it the intention to destroy and depopulate Gaza? Of course not.
Right. Palestinians, Gazans. That it was an intention to eradicate Palestinians. Now, as we all, I think, know, if Israel wanted to do that, it could do that. It could have done
that overnight. It could have done that overnight.
And it doesn't mean it's not. It is absolutely horrible. I totally agree.
But it's not genocide.
Heartbreaking and horrible. I may have a difference with some people of who's primarily to blame, when, Hamas intentionally did this and intentionally hides behind their people and doesn't provide them any refuge, as Israel has.
Let's also make some comparisons here, because it's important to note. I mean, not just World War II, which is, I think, very obvious, where over 20 million people were killed. And of course there was a genocide. It was a genocide of Jews, Gypsies, and other ethnic groups by the Nazis. But by these definitions, we bombed Dresden, we bombed the Allies bombed these cities. These were not genocidal acts. We weren't trying to wipe Germans off the face of the earth.
I mean, let's get down to numbers. In Gaza, tragically, how many people died?
Well, depending on the count, it's around 70,000. And based on the best estimates now given, more than 2/3 of them were fighters. Yeah. And this is in an urban environment where the normal civilian death toll in an urban environment, even when you're taking all the precautions that we take, is 5-1, 4-1, with civilians taking the heaviest toll, because it's very difficult in urban environments when you're fighting to preserve the life of civilians, to not kill civilians by mistake.
Right.
So Israel achieved a level of protection for civilians. In other words, the lowest percentage of civilian deaths in modern warfare. There's never been anything even close.
And that's what's called a genocide.
They're calling that a genocide.
Right.
And when we were in Mosul, it was far, far different.
Right.
And it wasn't the U.S. When the U.S. went into Iraq again. That Iraq wasn't on our doorstep. Iraq didn't kidnap our people and murder them and rape them. I'm not saying that we committed genocide, by the way. I don't think we did, but we were far less effective in protecting civilian lives during the war on terror than Israel was, by far. Right. So unless you think we committed a genocide, maybe you do. If that's what it is, then I guess everything is now a genocide.
Right. It is horrible. It is so awful, awful, awful.
Mhm.
But you have redefined it as any civilians dying in warfare is
Now
genocide. And I want to go back to World War II and the Allies, in fighting Nazi Germany, Allies intentionally bombed cities and civilians. If you're saying the horrible killing of civilians in a war is genocide, that has been redefined as genocide.
Everything.
Those same people, if you think that, you would have to agree that the bombings of German citizens in World War II also is a genocide, because you cannot say one is
Well, I mean,
so,
it would be all,
and one
it would be,
and one is not.
Well, look,
And it would be. And I want to complete this thought.
Sure, go ahead. Tie it up.
So if that's a genocide, you would have to say that the bombing of civilians in Germany is also a genocide. You couldn't say one without the other, and far more death and far less protection of people. Now,
and by the way, that's all. And by the way, this would be true in virtually every war. This would have been true in. It was a genocide when we fought the Civil War. It's a genocide when we fought every war, because civilians were killed.
And the reason, and I'm focusing on civilians dying in Germany. These same people, to be consistent, would have to call that a genocide.
Right.
So the next question would be, then what do you call the rounding up and systematic killing of 6 million Jews and more million gay people, gypsies?
Sure.
The systematic targeting and killing to eradicate them in Germany. What would you call that?
Super genocide.
That shows what we have just shown is that now you need another word
for real genocide,
for actual genocide.
Absolutely.
Because you have taken it and abused it and utterly redefined it to a point where, like, you can't, and if you,
it doesn't function anymore.
I would love to see, and are those as horrible as people dying in war? It's so freaking horrible, and I wish it never happens ever happens again. But if you cannot see the differences of the rounding up and systematic killing with the intention of eradicating a people and fighting a war where so tragically civilians die, if you're not seeing those as different things and now you have put them all in one big pile, your thinking is very bad.
It's more than bad. And not only that, to just maybe just bring it back in another way. What happened on 10/7 when Gazans and Hamas and Islamic jihadists charged into Israel, slaughtering people? That was a genocide, because genocide is not just results; it's intent. What was their intent? They had killed babies, women, children, raped women, children. The only reason they weren't able to kill more is because Israel was too strong. Right. Their intent has always been, and still is, to kill every last Israeli, and they say so.
Right.
So again, it's giving cover to actual genocide and those who wish to commit genocide.
Right, and it's intentionally an aversion because it's to take away the ultimate, what has been the worst victimhood of Jews, and then to reverse it to
make us the real victimizers and the Nazis,
even though it's not a word that makes any sense. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone could even define it, the word genocide. That should be the start of any talk. If everyone
just define the word,
please define the word. Because it is about intent, and if Israel had the intent to to destroy every Palestinian, it would have happened very quickly. And it didn't happen.
The basic idea is that Israel does not, intend to destroy all Palestinians, but Hamas in its charter and its actions, and just listen to their leaders and listen to these crazies on the campuses. They want to get rid of all Israelis. They want Israel to be destroyed. That is their number one goal. Radical crazies that you may not like Clinton, have said that too, that it became clear. Palestine was offered their entire state, everything pre-1967, every bit of it. 96% and 4%, and the Palestinians got to choose. And what Clinton said is their choice was they'd rather kill Jews than have a state. What the hell? That's the reality. Genocidal intent exists. But again, there's been a tremendous inversion. And again, I'm not excusing, I'm not saying there aren't ludicrous people, even in the government in Israel, like Ben Giver or Smotrich, who are actually horrible. But they're not the ones that are in control, and that's not Israeli public, as opposed to the ones who are actually in charge in Gaza. The ones that were actually elected.
Even, hated Netanyahu. If he had the intention of killing every Palestinian, he could have done it in maybe a couple of days. Right. So what I've just shown, when you have killing and war become the definition of genocide to the point that you don't even have a word for actual genocide, you're in a propagandized.
You've been propagandized. Universe. And the word has been changed to make you stupid. You don't even have the word anymore. It doesn't make sense. Okay. Then rounding up, what word is that?
Right.
Extra genocide, genocide plus, genocide.
Yeah, super duper uber genocide. Genocide.
Yeah, that's what genocide actually is.
Genocide error. Genocide is this.
Okay. And by the way, genocides that actually exist. And again, ask yourself why you're not even apprised of these. If you don't know about the actual genocides in Syria, the actual genocides of the Yazidis. Currently, and that have been going on, where people are literally, the Yazidi women are rounded up, gang raped, burned if they don't convert, sold into slavery, the men are killed. That's actual genocide.
Right.
And you don't know a damn thing about it, most of you, because, and again, it's not your fault. This is the propaganda that we're being fed, and it's having a terrible
media,
effect.
It's crazy that the news media, we don't know this.
It's
actually
criminal.
Insane. It's criminal. And yeah, we cannot have conversations.
Nothing like.
I make a biggest mistake I make all the time is start having conversation with people. We're yelling at each other, and we haven't defined terms.
That's a big one.
And I think we need to start out define your term, because we're
absolutely.
And then, because I'm left defining it for myself, and I've already figured out that Nazi means somebody a little bit on the right of you who you don't like, and it certainly has nothing to do with Jews victims. And I've also learned that fascist means I don't really like this.
Yes, I don't like it.
This is the absolute, it is destroying our thinking and destroying our ability to communicate with each other.
Our ability to
make us hate each other more.
It's making us hate each other. It's destroying our moral judgment. I mean, it's actually, it actually harkens back to emotivism, which was just after World War II, where a bunch of philosophers just figured out, well, maybe what we really mean by saying a moral statement, something like race, hating Jews is wrong, is boo and hiss. These are not really even statements. It's just like saying I don't like ice cream.
Right.
These are just statements that are almost vacuous.
Oh yeah, and they mean something else, and you're left baffled, and you're like, I need to figure out what
it's really like you said.
It's an Orwellian.
It's an Orwellian technique, and what it really is, like you said, is you look at the actual use cases, and it's like, okay, the use cases. What does it really mean? It just means someone I don't like, and I think is to the right of me. And it's become even sharper because again, what is determined to be the right has also become vastly expanded. Right, so it means almost anything.
Right.
It has such a loose use. We have a friend, very good friend of Hillary's, and he was talking about how, he doesn't like the Wall Street Journal editorial page, which is perfectly fine. Don't like it. But then he said, it's why? It's fascist?
It's to the right of fascist.
Oh, it's even worse. Yes, to the right of
then
fascism.
it's basically a center-right newspaper. And God forbid that one paper
That's a fascist
like
paper.
be center-right.
And
But like,
so how is
that
the
one
word
should have
being
been a moment that
Let's define
all of a sudden
fascism.
either don't say anything or like, I disagree with you. I should have started with like, please define what you mean by fascist and how it relates to that editorial page. Put it on them to give. You are using very, very huge, very
loaded terms.
Thank you. I can know sometimes overthink these things. And it's incumbent on you. Please define it. This is something I need to do more, and maybe we all need to do
Sure.
more.
If we're going to call somebody a Nazi, if we're going to call something genocide, we should have a very clear idea of what genocide and Nazi means, and be willing to defend it, and not just use it willy-nilly to the way that it often is used.
Right, and it's used in a weaponized
way,
not
in
to
a biased way.
communicate an idea that makes sense.
Yeah, in a way that minimizes these very important terms that we actually need in order to comprehend and make value judgments about the world. And that said, I know it's been very light, with these, little.
We had a little fun with
a little lightness with Platner, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. One hopes.
There is.
And somehow or other, we're hoping that you can stay moderately sane, because we are doing our best to remain moderately sane. So all of you out there who are watching, stay moderately sane with us, please.